Ooh. I think we're going on week 7 or week 8 of spring break. So no letting up. We're moving to Dunedin, by the way, in June.
I'm sorry, what?
Fuck out of here. I'm gonna move to Dunedin, man. I'm getting the hell out of here. I'm tired of this shit.
I love Dunedin, bro. I love that fucking town. That's
nice,
cool
tiny,
shit.
little quiet town.
Where's that? Is that across the bridge down by Sarasota?
No, it's north of Clearwater.
Oh, okay.
Small,
but like
town before you get to Palm Harbor.
Yeah, you take 19 right up along the water. It's just right up the road.
Don't stop in Clearwater. You keep on trucking. Like most
is that a done deal, Joe? I mean, we'll talk about that more, but that's done deal?
Almost. Yeah, just waiting to hear back from the agent. But dude, down here in the last 3 years, it has just become like 24/7 noise. Like from the beach. And I live 2 or 3 blocks from the beach in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
It's fucking annoying, man. It is nonstop. It's gotten worse. And then our building has also been under construction like nonstop. So find another building. All right.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into your weekly TBC Live. Appreciate you joining us. Got Jeff and Shawn in here. Tonight we are talking about so much stuff. Please remember your super chats get answered first, and they support the show. They help Shawn with his habits, Jeff with his habits too. So you're really habit supporting, which is necessary in order to bring you this quality content, or at least content anyway. So yeah, we're back. Pull up a stool, pour a drink. You know how we do it. Let's talk some freaking Buckeye football. Please subscribe. First thing to do as you wander in to this dusty, dirty old drinking bar. Support the show, please support the show. Everything that we get goes right back into the show. And if you subscribe to this channel, you get obviously this show, the weekly, your TBC Live. You get your daily Buckeye Blitz, where I give you a quick 10-minute hitter. That's all I'm good for is 10 minutes a day. Ask my wife. Hey, breaking news, which I've done way too many breaking news segments this weekend. So hit the channel, and during season and spring practice and during fall camp, you're going to get the press conferences from the coaches. You're going to get player interviews, everything. So subscribe here. You get all the Buckeye content you could ever wish for. Guys, you got any quick bourbon talk? We got a ton of content to get into, but I'll give you a couple minutes to go off on what you're drinking tonight. Shawn broke the chain last week and talked tequila, so I guess.
I finished that bottle last week, I think, during the podcast. So yeah, went back to the brown sugar. Actually have that rabbit hole, that red label one. I forget what it is, but it's delicious.
You got brown sugar in the rabbit hole?
That's right.
Oh, nice.
So no, I'm drinking some rabbit hole, and it's just what I need.
Yeah.
Wind down this weekend.
There you go. Sunday night with a rabbit hole. Jeff, what do you got?
Funny you say that, Shawn. I dipped back into my bottle of rabbit hole myself tonight. I got the blue label, the high gold.
Cheers.
I've had the black label. I have not bought the red label yet. So yeah, I had the blue label sitting in the back there, and I'll tell you what, this is good bourbon. This is nice and
all
smooth.
Their products, good.
Right? So yeah, cheers to you, brother. Getting back into that blue label. Get yourself in a rabbit hole, Joe. Go find yourself a rabbit hole to get into.
A lot of different directions with that, but
oh yeah,
I will not. We're going to talk commitments. Jordan Lyle, I guess we'll call him a 4-star running back. Well, that's a composite. on 24/7 out of St. Thomas Aquinas, STA, down in Fort Lauderdale, 6 foot, 190 pounds. They got him ranked as the 8th. Well, no, it's the 8th offer that the Buckeyes put out in the running back room, but 25th best running back in the cycle, depending on what service you're looking at, of course. Just 2 days ago, well, now it's 3 days ago, 2 days before he committed, he released the top 5 of Bama, Miami, Ohio State, Georgia, and Florida State. And then Saturday night, he's like, "Oh, Ohio State actually is my favorite." I was at 5 on Thursday. Saturday, I'm like, "Oh, I got 1." It's pretty funny. What do you guys think of Jordan Lyle?
Well, first thing I noticed, Joe, there was some conflicting, like you said, the conflicting numbers on his rankings and stuff like that. He seems to be. I've heard a lot of different things, in different services and different stuff I've looked at. It doesn't seem like there's a consensus so much on him. A running back out of St. Thomas Aquinas with that list of a final 5. I'm like, yeah, I'm glad we got him. Those are 5 schools that we should be going at, or that can go after any good running back in the country. I don't know if he is considered the key piece to that running back room in this class, or if we already got our guy and he is there's like a second fill-in. Not a fill-in, but our second, just to top off the class. So do you think this means Tony Alford's done for the? I mean, are we done with running backs, or are we going to hold out for one of these blue chippers late in the game?
We're definitely
unless somebody huge pops into the scene, it's got to be done, right?
We're at 2. We're at 2 in a slot. We're at from
an H-back. We got 2 plus an H-back. So
in a crowded room.
Mm-hmm.
Well, soon not to be crowded after this year. By the time those guys get here, it's not going to be crowded anymore. I guarantee you that.
That's true too. Yeah. Those guys all coming in this time next year, say, or maybe in January. But we're gonna have 2 or 3 going after this year. So
at least 2, probably 3.
Yes, so do we think Tony Alford's kind of they're happy with what he's gotten, and he's just gonna he has to work on keeping them?
Yeah, really. I think that's all it is. And the old saying, I hate to say this when a kid just commits, but I think you got to keep things in perspective. And when you are recruiting South Florida kids and a kid commits to you, that just means you're in the lead.
Correct. So, that Florida
Smith is the only outlier from that policy that I've seen so far. We remember Carnell Tate. He visited Tennessee multiple times, was getting tons of money waved in his face. Everybody from South Florida.
Well,
that's the South Florida. That's the South Florida verbal right there. Jaheim Singletary. We can go down the line through all those names.
Well, let's keep
Mark
that.
Fletcher most recently in the running
Mark
back
Fletcher.
room.
Yep.
Let's keep that, pipeline to Aquinas, or keep it, open it back up. Got some talent out of there, and I'm not that concerned about the conflicting services. I'm actually kind of a little bit excited about it, because when people have, so on the low range, he's still a mid
88,
low 4-star guy. Whatever, still a solid guy that can turn into a stud. You never know what's going to happen with a year in these programs. But some people think he's already got serious talent and is already that guy. So maybe he's one of these guys that is multi-sport athlete, isn't going to all the camps and just isn't getting the eyeballs on him. Right. Wouldn't think that out of an Aquinas guy, but like a hooker, or some of these guys that, hooker,
there's no hookers in South Florida, Shawn. What are you talking about?
No. Probably the capital, right?
Tootsie's. You're a Tootsie's guy. I know it.
But yeah, you're right, Shawn. Like what I was saying, that it seemed to be conflicting reports. The tape looks special. But then again, you don't know the competition. You figure a guy from Aquinas he's got those 5 schools with offers from those 5. If you got to think that Ohio State's not just reaching for a guy here. If Bama's in, Florida State's in, all these other schools have thrown offers to him. I'm sure he's gotten plenty of D1 offers if those are only the big names. You got to think that everybody's seeing the same thing.
No,
Like,
he could be a dude, and this is a guy that could come in and be the best dude. You never know. It's that type of guy. It's a wild card for me, and I'm excited about it. And there's opportunities in front of him.
Right.
Yeah, there will be.
He plays at the top level in Florida. 7A. They were state champs in 2021. He didn't play a lot. But then last year, this season, his junior year, he went for over 1,000 yards. I think he had like a 9-yard average. His connection to Tony Alford seems to be the key here in this recruitment, and he's always been a big Buckeye fan too. So I feel good about that. So let's talk transfer commits that. One just happened last night and one tonight. We got Lorenzo Styles Jr. committing, the former Notre Dame receiver / corner, converting to corner 100%, looks like, maybe safety. We talked about this last weekend, but so what do you guys think about this? It just makes sense, right? This move on his part.
We saw it coming. We talked about it last week. It was like, you said there was already a guy with the same name and middle initial enrolled in classes, and we thought maybe it was still his dad. No, he's probably in classes. You're right. I don't know. We don't know where he'll fit in. I mean, he went through all spring with the defensive backs over at Notre Dame. I forget his years of eligibility. Is he a year older than Sonny, or 2?
He's a 21 guy, so yeah. He does have 3 years remaining, and he does have a redshirt year. I'm sorry, 2 years and a red shirt on top of that.
2 in a redshirt. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see. I mean, do you think that, does this lead to maybe seeing another one of our guys, in the program, heading out? I know we did have one receiver jump in the portal, but see what it looks like numbers wise. As far as scholarship numbers, I know you're going to talk about the other guy that came in. So we should be looking for another Buckeye or 2, maybe to be on the move as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah. At least. So with Styles, I think he almost has to take this as his redshirt year. And he was actually a higher rated DB, a corner coming out of high school than a receiver. He's like a 5-star corner, but he wanted to play receiver and insisted on it. And
that to me kind of, what's this kid's head and decision making ability? I know he's young, but your name's Lorenzo Styles and you go to Notre Dame. I mean, we wanted that kid. We were offering him at that time.
Yeah, but we weren't taking him as a receiver though.
Yeah, we were looking at just on defense, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, again, I still question your mentality then, because look, that didn't work out, and now you're back to where you should have been.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. But he's entering a very deep cornerback room right now. You got Denzel, Hancock, Igbinosun just transferred in. Jair Brown is another year developed. Then you got redshirt freshman Ryan Turner. You got true freshman Jermaine Matthews and Calvin Simpson Hunt. So I think it's a smart move. If you're coming in, you're like, okay, I want to come to Ohio State, take your red shirt this year, get your development in, work your ass off with Tim Walton, get your corner skills honed down, forget about that receiver shit, and then see what kind of impact you can make in 2024.
I mean, do you think this guy is going to be? I mean, I'm just, is he going to be a starter ever for Ohio State? I think he maybe has a better chance in a couple years at a safety, maybe.
Well,
Yeah, it could
and
be either or.
that corner to that safety, that's gonna be a lot easier transition, I think, especially with that nickel, like we talked about that
Mhm.
the extra safety versus the nickel, the slot corner, nickel safety, whatever.
Slot, yeah.
But at the same time, you know, yeah, you're right, Joe. We do have more talent coming in, but taking that red shirt this year may line up real good. If Denzel and Hancock both have really good years, they could both be coming out. Igbenogsen's got one more year of eligibility, so you
No,
could
he's got a
be.
couple, dude. He was
Does he have
just a
two?
freshman last year.
Okay,
He's
all
got
right.
like
Well,
three.
I mean,
I
but
would say
take it this
I would
redshirt
say
year.
this is your year to use the red shirt and make it pop next year,
Right. He could be looking at like battling for the second or third corner next year. Depending on how everything turns out. If our two starters leave, Igbenogsen, and say Jair Brown maybe lock in, going ahead to next year. Maybe they
Right.
locked in the starters. Then who's our third? Who's our fourth? He could be right there with the other guys. But yeah, getting your head start would work.
All right. We got tonight, just a few hours ago, we got transfer of offensive lineman from San Diego State, offensive lineman Josh Simmons, played for Brady Hoke the Joke. Does that guy still not wear a fucking headset as a head coach? That's funny. Anyway, we don't need to dwell on that. 6'6", 305, entered the portal back on April 15th. Conversations started immediately because he had a relationship with Justin Fry. He was a 4-star recruit in the 2021 class out of San Diego. So stayed home, went to San Diego State. He camped in high school. He camped at UCLA when Justin Fry was there. So Fry has coached him, then offered him and recruited him when Fry was the OC and O-line coach under Chip Kelly. So you guys have any quick takeaways on Josh Simmons?
Welcome. Yes, let's go. I mean, exactly
More the
what we
merrier.
need, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if he's gonna walk in and be a starter, but man, we needed this big time. This is a big get, I feel. I'd take another nice O lineman in the portal. I don't, whatever you got, center, guard, tackle.
Yeah. I think Ryan Day and the Buckeyes would as well. This guy, in my opinion, was the best guy available. It's one of those kind of situations, he played last year was his redshirt year, played all 13 games, started all those games. His PFF grades are not outstanding, but he has 3 years of eligibility, and he was a little hefty on the penalties. We'll say he was twice as bad as DeJuan Jones. So let that take your mind wherever it will. But I believe he is right now battling Zen Mahalski and Tegra for that right tackle job. I think he is squarely in the mix because those two have not stepped up and taken the job. Fryer is fine at left tackle. Nobody else has really challenged him, and it's basically his job.
That might be scary. No one has challenged him, and I mean, I'll believe it when I see it, and I hope he is. But
Fitzpatrick has been in there, but there's nobody mentioned as a possible challenger to that left tackle position, which can be good and bad, like you're saying.
Yeah, I think they feel pretty confident with the left tackle.
It is only May or April 30th.
But sure, anybody that's going into a season without a starting position, that's you like to see every open position have a battle, for winning it. But I don't know much about this kid. Obviously, Joe, you broke it down. It was 4-star kid, stayed home in San Diego. We need.
I think it's pronounced San Diego.
Yeah.
A whale's vagina.
Agree to disagree. You're right. We needed depth. It's great. If we could have got, we were kind of concerned about like, well, who's really going to be available coming out of spring? I think you're right, Joe. We probably did get the best of what was available. As we should. We're Ohio State. We should be able to pick from the best of the kids that are looking for a better opportunity. So, looking forward to see what he can do, how fast he can be, get acquainted with the Buckeye program and style of commitment needed. Coming from a lesser school like that.
That's the key, right?
Yeah.
That's what Ryan Day preaches every time they talk about transfers is it's got to be the right fit, not just
right
a positional need, but mentality, teammate, locker room fit, all that shit,
And like you said, the background with Coach Fry, you'd like to think that Coach Fry has a really firm idea right, now, being established in the program enough to know what exactly is a good fit. And if he says, coach, Coach Day, I know this kid, blah, 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 I worked with him. I think he can fit. Let me see if I can see what this relationship's like. And then it's a go.
He's already done probably most of the background stuff that you would do in a recruitment. He did that back in 2020, 2021.
Sure. When he was looking at him at UCLA, I'm sure. Right. So, we have to trust our coaching staff at this point to know that the guys that they're bringing in are the right fit. That's nothing that Buckeye fans should get concerned with. We should just trust our coaches are only going to bring in those guys. Now, whether they develop to be what we want them to be, well, we'll see. We'll see that when they all go head to head. Yeah.
So one point I do want to make before we move off of this O lineman is so Tegra started his career as a guard last year as a true freshman. So if Simmons comes in, him and Zen battle for that right tackle job. That allows Tegra to move back to guard eventually. Not saying he's going to start tomorrow, but I'm saying maybe that bulks up the 2 deep at guard because it's a more natural position for Tegra, and that
makes
bulks
sense.
up our right tackle depth, right? Where Tegra maybe the reason he was struggling in spring was, not a natural position. It was a switch for him.
That's why this is so huge. It's because exactly what you said. Now maybe, just adding one guy of depth and then being able to move other guys that can go between a few positions and maybe they're more natural at, like you said, guard or whatever. No, to me, it's you added that guy and splitting it among that. It's almost like adding 2 guys in the other position. It's huge.
Yeah, it has that domino effect across the old line. Yeah. So, all right. Let's see. What else? Anything else you guys want to get into before we start talking NFL?
No.
All right. Let's talk NFL because I love the NFL. It's my favorite thing. Gets me jazzed up. How about you, Shawn?
Well, I'm actually going to try and score some tickets to the Detroit or Michigan Panthers. That's going on up here. We got some, what is that, USFL?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Well, I don't know if this is the second. I haven't followed any of it, but my kid was telling me Detroit or Michigan or whatever they are, the Panthers up here, their first pick in the first draft of that, they took Shea Patterson. I mean, how much fucking losing is that guy going to do?
That is awesome.
Don't have high hopes for that franchise, but I think they're decent maybe. Go out there and get you some Cardell Jones. What are you doing?
Yeah. So is where's the XFL playing? I'm confused by this USFL, XFL, and then isn't there another one like
what? No,
league?
No, it's just them 2 right now.
Okay.
Are they both playing right now?
Yeah, the XFL is like getting down to getting ready to start playoffs. I think they're getting down to the end of the season. USFL is probably
is Kane still playing in that? Is Kane the starting quarterback in that league?
Which one? Which one is only played in Birmingham?
That was the USFL because COVID, but that's the Detroit team. So now they're playing at Ford Field, as I understand it.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, they were playing the Houston Gamblers today, I believe.
Awesome.
Or New Jersey Jet, one of those, one of the old school from the '80s teams. Like they kept all those old teams, the Gamblers, the Generals.
Chicago Blitz was my team. They had the Buckeye helmet.
I'm gonna go down there and get rowdy.
Yeah. If I could turn up, Shawn, there you go. I can't keep the teams apart. I mean, I know there's teams. I mean, some of the teams are in most of the NFL cities. The other league, it's hard for me to keep track of which city and what team has in what league. You can't put two football leagues on at the same time.
And if there's a USFL and a XFL, like where is it pretty even, or like is one a little bit higher rated? Like you're just below NFL level guys go here, and then the guys below that play in this one. Is there one that's considered more prestigious?
I don't want to get off
more
on
prestigious than the other. Anyway.
I think the XFL has the advantage with some of the more NFL type guys because they started earlier. Like I said, I think they're about 2 months ahead of the USFL as far as, in which their season started and everything. So I think them starting sooner probably got more of those free agent guys bouncing around the league than the USFL did. AJ McCarron is like one of the quarterbacks in the XFL.
No.
It's guys like that, those lifelong backups in the NFL bouncing around. So,
all right,
but that's about it. That's all I got. That's all I got for those secondhand leagues.
We got our guy Paul in the chat.
What's up, Paul?
How you doing, Paul? He said that Jordan Lyle reminds him of Zeke Elliott. I could see that. Yeah, he's smooth moves and gets up to speed quickly. I like that.
What fat not a work? What are you talking about?
But no, Zeke was about 185, 200 pounds, and those tapes out of St. Louis. He was only about 200 pounds then.
Wasn't he like the 100? Wasn't he the 100-meter champ in St. Louis? Like he was a burner too.
Yeah, he was a sprinter.
Yeah.
Track
yeah, he
guy.
was.
Yeah. All right, Jeff. So I'm going to tee you up here. We're going to talk NFL post-draft. Where did your Buckeyes land? And we're also going to touch on the undrafted free agent guys. We only have 4 of those. Again, this I really felt like, so I'll get into what I did for the draft. I actually watched most of Saturday, but I really felt like I was expecting more draft picks. Were you guys? Maybe I just was going into it with higher expectations for guys like.
Well, I mean, let's get into it. But who did you think was going to get drafted that didn't?
Hickman.
Hickman
Cam Brown, I thought he might be a 6-7 round.
If Hickman would have came out last year, he would have got drafted.
Yeah, I think
a year earlier.
He actually, yeah. Anyway, let's start with the draft picks. The 6 guys drafted, Jeff. So do you need me to set you up, or you want to go one by one, top to bottom?
I think I'll just kind of run through them all if you want to give me a minute or two. Let's kind of break it down.
Okay.
Obviously starting off, second pick of the draft, the Houston Texans played it perfectly. Fucking 2 days prior to the draft, all we hear is Houston's looking. They're going to take defense. They're going to go defense. Is it going to be Will Anderson, Tyree Wilson? They snowed everybody the whole time. It was CJ Stroud with the second pick. If Bryce would have slipped to him, if Carolina would have took CJ, they would have gladly taken Bryce Young. Really cool thing what they did with the third pick, they turned around and got the best defensive player in football too, Will Anderson. So to team him with CJ, 2 character guys to lead their offense and defense.
I thought you were going to say Will Anderson's blocking for CJ.
No, there was a nice move they made to get back into 3 because Arizona wanted to get out of 3, leading to my next Buckeye. Arizona knew they could take Paris Johnson at 3. They also knew if we trade out of 3, let's go back to 6, gain some assets. We can still get our left tackle, Paris Johnson. They got him. It seems a lot of what we've heard is Kyler Murray was in the building, kind of standing up and wanting Paris Johnson, kind of calling the organization to the fact that give me my left tackle, keep me protected type thing. So not don't know much about the organization of the Cardinals. I know their owner's been in the news a little bit, but hopefully it sounds like a good spot for Paris.
What's he up to?
They bid well. I don't know, man. They talk like it's a shitty workplace or whatever. He's not a real nice guy or whatever.
Oh, he's a toucher.
But I don't know. I don't know nothing. I ain't talking to nobody.
Long hugger.
But so Paris Johnson at number 6 goes to Arizona. And then I saw there was at 2 points during the draft. I thought, oh, JSN will not get past these guys. If he's available, and these guys are going to run up to the fucking podium. First thought was the New York Jets at 15. They passed on him, so I was getting a little nervous. Like, why are we not hearing JSN's name? But then at number 20, Seahawks, after getting Witherspoon from Illinois at the number 5 pick, I think the best corner in the draft. They turn around at 20, get the best receiver in the draft. The team in with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Fuck me. If Geno Smith has any type of season like he did last year, holy shit. You got Jackson just thrown into the middle of one freakishly stud NFL receiver and another solid number 2.
Wait, who's the quarterback?
I think with Geno Smith.
Oh wow!
He got resuscitated this past year. Had a great year with Seattle.
I'm happy for him.
And Kenneth Walker's in the backfield, but JSN to that offense, I think it's a great fit for him. Whether he likes the rainy, cold weather of the Northwest, I don't know. Being a Texas kid, but a great fit offensively, I think, for JSN. Then we move for a while. Now we move down to round 3. Zach Harrison comes on.
Let's talk about these first rounders real quick.
Okay, all right.
Shawn, you want to jump in on any of those picks? No. Shawn's passed out.
And like I said, 3rd round.
Sorry. Yeah, no. I had my mute button on. I didn't want to interrupt you, and I sneezed. So anyway, yeah, CJ Stroud at number 2. Okay, that's great. Stroud. I didn't love any of the quarterbacks really, but if you need them, you need them. I thought Stroud was the best quarterback, but I would have went 1-2 on defense with this draft. But they got their guy. Houston's got their guy. Good luck down there, Stroud. He's a stud. Again, he's better than any of these other guys. I just don't know if he's that guy. Paris Johnson, I'm always a fan of taking the best O-lineman early in drafts. It's how you build a team. There's no teams that are worth a shit if they got a shitty O-line. Every team that's worth anything has a good O-line. And so I love the pick. Jackson Smith and Jigba, it's all potential. And like you said, Jeff, what a spot to land with those guys around him. I mean, and that was kind of his thing. That's what put him on the map is you had Olave and Wilson, and that's how Jackson made his name. He's like, you got to deal with these motherfuckers. I'm going to be across that middle all day long on you and killing you. And it's what he did. And man, to me, that's a good spot for him to land. So that's all I got.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting. Jeff, one thing before we move on to the rest of the Buckeyes. Sure. Who do you think was actually dishing out all the CJ slander in the coming weeks to the draft?
Can
we say?
It might have been the Colts. It might have been the Texans. The Colts GM Ballard came out real strongly against it, and it was like, this is unfair to these kids and stuff. But at the same time, maybe he was hoping that CJ was going to slide to him at 4.
But wasn't it all on the SU test?
Who's responsible for leaking what? I mean, that's we're gonna need an investigation to figure all that out. You know what I mean? It got leaked somehow.
The leak wasn't even accurate. That's the thing. So it was made up 100%.
Right.
Oh, really?
So,
yeah. Ryan Day called him.
Yeah, Ryan Day got on it. He went to bat for his quarterback.
Well, I know Day said he goes, I consider that his strength. He's like, how the fuck is that? He's like, that don't make no sense.
Yeah. And you got to appreciate Ryan Day. I think that looks good for Ryan Day too, just for potential incoming quarterbacks. Like this fucking guy will fight. This guy knows the deal. He'll fight for him. And other guys that are in the situation that kind of know the deal, like especially CJ's teammates, they're gonna look at Coach Day like, fuck, Coach Day knows he's fucking fighting for him. So I think that goes well for Coach Day, just for him being willing to help protect players.
I think the ultimate thing was to get to the root of the issue and explain what this test is. I mean, I don't want to get into it because I don't care, but I think he did well to at least investigate it and then talk about it on draft day. Not that it would have changed the draft order or who went where, because obviously the Texans had their eye on CJ the whole time. But I just thought that was interesting. So I'll let you go ahead, Jeff, with the rest of the draft picks.
Okay. Well, we sat out the second round. In the third round, though, we got Zach Harrison coming off, pick 75 to the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons, they're not a good roster. They needed a lot of help in a lot of places, a lot of depth. Also puzzling why they took a running back, number 6 or number 5 or whatever it was. But anyways.
How are the grandparents going to enjoy flying to Atlanta now to see Bijan?
Yeah.
They didn't like going to Columbus from Arizona, but Austin was okay. Now, what about Atlanta? I guess he's going to have to pay for those tickets.
Yeah, I'm sure. Maybe they'll get something worked out, I guess. Yeah, with the grandparents not wanting to travel so much. Who knows? Maybe they're not even with us anymore. Who knows? What's turning up for Bijan? But I'm not too familiar with Atlanta's defensive line depth. But I think Zach Harrison, if he can stay healthy, I definitely think that he has all the measurements and all the ability to make an impact. So they run a basic 4-3 kind of scheme. So you're looking at kind of like the same type of defense Buckeyes are running. So he's probably going to be in a same type of position. They're not going to be asking him to be like a 3-4 drop outside linebacker. Like a TJ Watt or something like that. So
whatever it may be.
Yeah. So good luck to Zach Harrison. Big time 5-star talent. Kind of an afterthought pick at 75 with Atlanta, but like I said, Atlanta's got a lot of problems and they don't have a lot of depth or a lot of talent. So we could maybe see Zach Harrison on the field if he comes in healthy with the right mindset.
Zach is solid. Zach is solid. He just never was that, Bosa guy that we wanted him to be. If Zach would have came into Ohio State as a 3-star guy, we'd be like, oh my gosh, you believe how good this guy got. But he came in being that 5-star guy and just wasn't quite to the level that we got a little bit spoiled and accustomed to with the Bosas and Chase.
I think
but he's never sucked. He's never sucked. He's always solid. He just isn't like, wow, he's fucking crazy amazing. But he is a solid, and I think he'll have a nice NFL career.
Yeah. Moving on, our next pick came round 4, pick 111, DeJuan Jones, big Thanos, right tackle. Got drafted by your Cleveland Browns, Buckeye fans, for you that share in both fan bases. Nice pick for DeJuan Jones.
Whoa.
I was surprised. What's that?
What do you think about that pick at 111?
I was a little surprised he was still around that late. But then reading some stuff after the Senior Bowl, he had like one great dominant day I heard at the Senior Bowl, and then he kind of just shut shit down. Like he left.
He's like, no, he fucking left.
Yeah,
well, that's shutting it down big time.
So and there was just some other stuff with the pro day and everything. Like it just seemed to be like some questions or some people were kind of left scratching their head as to what maybe who was informing him of why he was doing what he was doing, or why he was treating certain things certain ways. But I'm sure that was all kind of
that question
agent driven. But
it's one of those things where we see these kids sometimes make a terrible decision or just not have good advice around them. And they're just
what it is.
They're not under the structure of like the Ohio State program to tell them where to go and where to be, what to do every minute of the day. Now, when they're prepping for a draft or a combine, they're like, I don't know what to do. And then they don't have a good agent that's experienced or whatever, or they don't get into a good workout facility, like, whatever it might be in Florida or Arizona, whatever. So,
Right.
And I think he's a perfect example.
But I think Cleveland, I think it was a smart pick by Cleveland. As far as team needs, they need depth on their O-line. They have a left tackle, Jedrick Wills from Alabama, that's been in and out, struggling with injuries. So I think it's a steal for Cleveland to get him at 111, because potentially, he could be a 10-year pro. I think. I don't think there's a lot of injury concern. Dealing with speed rushers in the NFL was probably the biggest knock on him, and so they can use him to develop.
Yeah, but
they can
got
develop
the
him.
length.
They're not.
He got the length.
He got the length,
Preach.
the strength.
God damn it.
He's
he
got
got it
feet
all.
too. Do you see that guy when he played basketball? The potential on this guy is sky high. He'll just need it honed in. And I don't know if he can play 10 years because he's so fucking big, but he could play 5 and be the best tackle in the league. Just dominate him.
I think we can agree his issue is discipline, right? Whether it's
working
out.
From what we know, I mean, we don't know, since we don't know too much about him personally, but just looking at the development of a player in the program that we all follow closely. Yeah, I would agree with you 100%, Joe, that he could probably be really good. He could probably be maybe great.
He needs a tunnel vision kind of aspect around him, and good management. We've got a couple quick comments in the chat here I wanted to throw at you.
Okay.
Tyrone says the Browns loaded up with Buckeyes. Yep. He also said that he thinks Luke would have gotten more money if he stayed one more year. We'll get into Luke in just a second. And he made the point that only one defensive player drafted each of the last 2 years speaks volumes. That is a bigger topic. Yes, much bigger topic that is probably like a whole show for us. But yes, excellent points. I'm sorry, that was Stephen Cherry with the only defensive player comment. Tyrone had the other two. So go ahead, Jeff. When we get to Luke, we'll let you.
Well, yeah, and so rounding out our draft class, 6th round pick, 190 overall, I believe. Luke Whippler, also with Browns taking Luke Whippler, building their O-line depth. Both of these guys will be in a good spot because I believe Whippler is a Northeast Ohio kid. Maybe
no, he's New Jersey.
No, that's right, New Jersey. Oh, I had him confused. No, I had him confused with another guy we had for a couple of years in the program. It was a backup center. No. No. Anyways, but both those guys are getting drafted as depth pieces. DeJuan Jones isn't going to be asked to start at right tackle. Cleveland does have a really good O-line to begin with. And it's not like the old fucking loser Browns. They actually do have a pretty good team, a lot of talent. I can't say much to their coaching, but hopefully both of them are in a good spot. I wasn't surprised to see Whippler go in the 6th. I was definitely more surprised when I found out Whippler was leaving school and coming out than I was seeing him getting drafted in the 6th round.
He had another year?
Oh yeah, 2.
Oh yeah. Was it 2? I didn't know if he had a red shirt left or not, but I knew Whippler. I thought for sure Whippler would come back. I thought we were going to lose our tackles, and then we'd have our
especially if he got 2 years. I mean, are you
with the COVID year? Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the COVID year would have gave him a 6th if he wanted. Yeah.
Yeah, he was like 2020 class or something. I forget.
I mean, did the guy need the money but I mean, that's just weird.
I think he got some bad advice. Actually, that's my opinion. Like Tyrone says in the chat, if he had stayed one more year, you never hear of a center coming out after 3 years. They always stay for 4, especially at Ohio State. Elfline.
Yeah, unless
Billy Price.
He was our center for 1 year, right?
Starter 2.
Yeah, starter. Yeah.
I mean, so
He started 2 years.
I mean, yeah, that is bad advice because you know what? You come back and then you become the best center in the country, which still you're maybe get up there in the second, third round, and it's a whole different ball game. I don't know. Yeah, that's strange. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know what the kid's reason, what's his reason for leaving, or
Right,
or
he
trying
might
to
have
get
an
pro
amazing
sooner.
reason, and we sound like fucking assholes. Like, listen to these fucking.
Yeah, he is a
That's all.
2020 guy, so he had, so he only was there 3 years.
Could have been there 2
So
more.
he had
It could have
a
taken his
fourth and a
COVID year.
fifth, and maybe even could have had a red shirt in there if he wanted to. But anyways, yeah, seems a little aggressive, but
And then you were dancing with. I mean, your 6th round. You're getting into the spot where you may not get drafted at all, bro. That's a. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not coming
you might
out.
not even
if
make
I've
the
got 2
fucking
more
team,
years.
Shawn. Forget
Unless
being
I'm-
drafted. Just because you're drafted doesn't mean you're going to make the team automatically. You get
True
cut
that.
tomorrow.
That's true. They
But,
don't.
like,
They won't.
If I'm young and I'm not like almost rock solid to be top 3 rounds, no fucking way am I coming. And if I'm
Right.
like one of the best, and I'm like I'd probably get drafted 18th, but next year I'm going to get drafted first. That guy's probably
Right.
coming back to me. I don't know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I think you got bad advice, honestly.
And if it's strictly a
him and-
financial, if it was strictly a financial issue where I gotta get some signing bonus, I gotta get some kind of money. You're not getting a lot in the 6th round, and you
make
could
more
you could,
NIL money, dude.
That was my point. That was gonna be my point. Like you could, if you went back to school, you'd be under you know what kind of umbrella you're protected under in with the school, and you could have really hired some people to really go out and pursue, some bigger NIL deals or whatever, and really kind of try to promote yourself and put yourself
And that
out
stuff's
there.
ramping up anyways at Ohio State with more collectives and more athletic department,
So
handshake.
obviously we have nothing against the kid. I mean, I think he played above average. Played real well for us for 2 years. So
Definitely
hopefully
could have
it all
played
works
another
out.
year, and
Hopefully it all works out for
possibly,
him. Yeah.
Go ahead.
But I tell you what, they only have 6 draft picks, and I say only 6 draft picks, but 3 of them offensive linemen. When one of them being a defensive player, yeah, those are more like eye-catching things that that need to be looked at as far as a lineman that should have stayed, 3 first rounders, but then 3 guys that one defensive end. For us to only have one defensive guy being drafted with 5 draft eligible, I think, total on defense. There weren't that many guys that came out, but maybe 4.
Not that we're draft pick worthy, no.
Right.
I mean,
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Cage,
that speaks a bigger.
Tyler Friday, nobody's drafting them. EA, nobody's drafting him.
I expect
And some of those guys
I expect Hickman to make a roster if he wants to and commits. I mean, again, I thought he would have been drafted if he would have came out early. He should have came out, and White should have stayed.
Well, I tell you what.
So undrafted free
us a
agents, we
breakdown.
got Saints signed Jerron Cage, Chargers signed Cam Brown, Browns signed Ronnie Hickman, and the Browns signed Tanner McAllister. That's all the UDFAs I have.
No, Teron Vincent, not even picked up, huh? Wow.
Yeah,
I would have thought Teron. I think Teron Vincent, especially with his dad being who his dad is, he's going to get looks at the NFL. He's going to get invites. He's going to get a chance to look at a team. But he might be one of those guys it bounces around 2-3 years maybe, and then maybe finds a spot. He's a run stopper. He can plug a hole. Kind of like Jerron Cage. I mean, those guys can make careers in the NFL. Being two down linemen. So, but yeah, there is a big question that you've touched on, Joe, for the past probably 6-9 months as far as the personnel and balance, offense to defense in our roster. And something like this is just showing it again, where we just don't have any draft, any,
Well, I blame that.
not having that draft,
more on,
not having that guy that's
that
impact player.
I blame that on the
Sure.
coaching. I mean, we get dudes. I mean, we get a lot of dudes, and yeah, it's concerning. I mean, remember that run we were on? I mean, we were getting DNs taken in the top 5 pick, and we were getting cornerbacks usually taken in the first round too.
Yeah, there was a dry spell on both. I mean,
but really, that's the only way to get draft picks is DNs and corners. Nobody gives a shit about linebackers, safeties.
Right.
But I think we'll have two. I think we'll get 2 linebackers drafted next year, and they won't be anywhere near our top picks. I think Eichenberg and Steele both get. I mean, if having seasons like they did, and staying healthy,
maybe. But if they do, they're going to get drafted
do.
they'll get drafted like 4th to 6th round.
No, yeah, probably.
I don't know. I just so devalue linebackers. I wouldn't take one early. That's why I'm saying that.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, one of those guys could have an amazing year and put together, a first, second round season. But I don't know.
I don't think
to me they're like running
few...
backs. I don't like taking running backs, and I don't like taking linebackers. Not early. I like them late because you need them and they're so damn important. But they're just expendable and replaceable because they have to be.
Well,
right.
True.
We got a question in the chat I need to address real quick. Quickly though, Stephen Cherry said, he talked about the only one defensive player drafted. Paul Buckeye says, glad for the Browns and their picks from Ohio State. These guys only going to get better, especially with the coaches. I hope so, Paul. It seems like Cleveland's trying to steal Cincinnati's SOP, and that is drafting Buckeyes.
Well, it's brilliant because you get that hometown buy-in, and these guys are already Buckeyes. They're beloved. They care about it. The fans care about them. They care about the fans. To me, it's such a good move for the Browns, in that you bring these guys in and you could change the vibe of that whole thing, and then you get everybody to buy in. If these guys are, and they're these Ohio State dudes at least, that have bought in, it's positive. I kind of equate it to, I don't think Hutchinson landing in Detroit was the best thing to happen. I think if Hutchinson goes almost anywhere else, it's a whole different ballgame. But hometown guy, all the hype, it's accepted, and just sometimes that's such a boost. And I think it was a boost for the Lions up here in Detroit. I'm hoping it's a boost for the Browns down there in Cleveland.
Then Stephen Cherry has a question. Are we going to land that big D tackle from Ole Miss? As of right now, I would say probably not. I'm not seeing anything positive in the Buckeyes direction, and I don't know. It's not.
I'm going to know why that guy's leaving. I'm going to know what's the reason for him wanting to leave, or was he kind of like helped out the door, or was he?
Lane was probably dating his girlfriend or something.
No, he wouldn't. I mean, I could just tell you that right off the bat that without even seeing her, he would. But
without even seeing her.
But I think he wants to actually focus on football now and not baseball, which has been kind of stunting his development, actually, because he hasn't done shit in 2 years at Ole Miss. He's got a couple tackles, couple sacks, couple batted down balls, but he's not getting a lot of reps.
So he's probably not getting out of the SEC. Somebody else is going to take him. Somebody else down there
He
is going to take him.
He can't go to the SEC right now. You can't. It's a rule in their conference that when you can't transfer in the spring to another SEC school. You got to leave.
The thing is, I mean, if you're going to go to Ohio State, it's a big commitment in that it's like, you know what Ohio State's going to do to you. They're not going to put up with any of your bullshit. You're going to work harder than anybody else, and you're still not going to start. And you're not going to come in here like, oh, you're some coveted big time recruit. You ain't shitting here, bro. Get to work. And
you're definitely not playing baseball too.
And that's why you kind of got to respect the guys coming in the portal. I think they all understand that. Like, hey, I'm not going in here to fuck around and just kind of like, oh, I'm gonna be the star on the team, or.
Well, you got to kind of wonder what's his relationship with Igbignosin. I mean, he's got a guy, the former teammate that's already there and established. What kind of was he getting the feedback that he wants to hear from him? Like, well, how was it up there? And he's like, well, it's real. I mean, they didn't hand me shit, but I'm battling.
Is Ohio State high on this kid and he's not high on us, or is it like we're like?
He's visiting. He visited this weekend, so
he seems really highly coveted. He seems awfully highly coveted. From what I've seen,
I remember him from.
So there's a lot of schools interested.
We were a leader at one point early, not really early, but before he decided that he wanted to play baseball and football both. We were a leader in his recruitment back in 2020, and at one point. Before I want to say like summer of 2020, he decided he wanted to play both sports, and obviously Ole Miss gave into that, and probably most other schools didn't. But he was like a 4-star. He's not a scrub. I don't know.
Let's put a GoFundMe together on this kid then, because a multi-sport athlete that those are always like good kids. Because to commit and get that good at 2 fucking sports is hard. You have got to have a level of commitment, and that's typically going to be a good kid. You're not going to be gifted naturally into 2 fucking sports.
I get your point, Shawn, but he was mediocre at Ole Miss in both. Like, he barely played. He had like very few at bats.
I get what you're saying, but he's still playing D1 ball, and the reason he's mediocre probably is because he's not focusing on one, because it's damn near impossible to stay good.
Right. It definitely affected his development in both areas. I'm just saying, it's no sweat off my back if we don't get him. I know we need D tackle depth, but I don't know. I've been kind of turned off by stuff. So
I love him.
All right.
No homo.
So yeah, to answer Steven's question, I don't think we're gonna get him. I'm seeing nothing, hearing nothing to favor the Buckeyes. And honestly, when you look at the scholarship numbers, we're pretty far over at this point. Like, I'm talking +5 or so. So not that that's impossible to get out of, as we send people out the door, but it's a lot, kind of a lot.
Well, like who recently out the door, Joe, and who do we think is leaning towards looking for greener pastures?
Or who would I send out the door?
No, I mean, I know we had an
announcement.
Well, no, I know we had a receiver recently hop into the portal. I don't know if you wanted to break down or give us a list of who.
No, just Caleb Burton, the kicker, Jake Seibert, and somewhat surprising that Ben Chrisman hopped in there because he was kind of a big deal in that I believe it was 21 class. Yeah, it was 21 class.
I thought he would have been a contributor for sure in the 2 deep.
Yeah, I would have thought too. He must not have liked the answers he got from.
He's a local, wasn't he local, like Springfield, Ohio, or something like that?
He might have been, yeah. I'm pretty sure. He definitely wasn't. He was Midwest. Ben Chrisman, Richfield, so northeast Ohio. Cleveland.
Yeah, see, he was a freshman. Okay, freshman.
Where'd he go? Has he landed somewhere, or?
No, he's in there. just hanging out. So.
Yeah, his writing was probably on the wall. He probably didn't want to battle. He probably, was not wanting to stick out the fight. He's like, look, there's 5 guys ahead of me here, and not, didn't have that mindset. Maybe
I don't know.
wanting to
I
fight,
feel like
year by year and pick them off. But
We got a lot of Jags in that fucking offensive line room, dude. I've gone into this a million times. Trey LaRue. How's this guy still have a locker in the fucking facility? Grant Toutant, same. Jacob James, he was supposed to challenge for that center spot, but had to sit out all spring with a shoulder, so can't give him any grief. From there, you got Mahalski. He's battling with Tegra for that right tackle job, but Enoch Vamahi, he's a 5th-year guy, hasn't done much. I mean, sparingly used and not really shown well when he is in there. So these 4th and 5th-year guys got a lot of Jags. I keep saying this, but I feel bad, but there's just not quality there. Josh Fryer is the only one.
Were those guys were recruited by coach? Those were Coach Stud guys,
right?
Correct.
Yep. And they're mostly projects. They're Midwest guys, obviously. Toutant, great, Trey LaRue, all of them are Midwest guys. So it's not like they were national high-end prospects. So
yeah, it was like Detroit and Norwalk. Toutant went to De La Salle, here and Norwalk. It wasn't that big. LaRue wouldn't like.
Yeah,
he's giant. He's like 6'7" something.
Yeah, but again, he is never going to play at Ohio State.
How is that though? If you were in mixed weight room and you were at Ohio State's practices for 4 fucking years, how are you not able to beat most of the people in front of you, man? 95% of the people in front of you.
Sometimes you take a project like Stud did. He took a few projects.
They just don't have it.
Yeah. DeJuan kind of panned out, but did he really?
But
in the end.
But why didn't these guys, are they just going to ride this thing out? I mean, because I feel like Toutant and the other guy you said, and the other guy you said, I feel like they could go to fucking Indiana and play, or to Toledo and be the fucking stud left tackle.
Yeah.
Why don't they leave?
I don't know. They can't take a hint.
I know. Why aren't they like, no, it doesn't seem like anyone's trying to run them out of town.
Yeah, it's a delicate situation. I mean, I'm sure they've had the talk in the last 2 years, probably 2 years in a row. I'm sure they've had the talk with their position coaches, but I don't know, man.
Coach Stud probably wasn't wanting to send guys out the door that he was responsible for. Coach Fry might have been looking at the situation coming in like, I have 12 guys sitting here. I think maybe 4 of them might be players. We got to go find more, but I can't just shove these 8 out the door yet until we get more with them.
I feel like Joe, they did have the talk and they said, look, you're probably never going to be a starter here at Ohio State, but our depth is so thin. I think they sell them on that we really value you being here. You know what? Because if they go in there, are they going to be great? No. But again, 4 or 5 years in the program, you're going to be serviceable. It's not going to be like you're a total dumb fuck that doesn't know what you're doing, that's got a body of an 18-year-old. These guys are 22-year-olds in that program. I think maybe like, hey, look, yeah, you're not going to be the guy. And they probably already know that too. They're like, cool. I'm the backup guy. If you need me, I'll go in there and I'll try my best and I'll be decent. It'll be all right.
I will defend them in only this general sense that we don't know if they've had injuries that might have held them back for a year. We don't know that because Obviously, Ohio State's
Sure.
not telling us that. So that's the only thing I can say that might not be their fault directly, you know. We got a good
But
question in the chat, though, that's even better than this discussion. Stephen Cherry, he says that he asks, are you guys satisfied with our recruiting in the trenches thus far? Are you talking 24 class, 23 class, what? Because
I would say he's probably talking about this class. I would say the class we're working on right now, the 24 class. And my answer would be no. We don't have.
It's only like half full right now.
Well, there's no D lineman in the whole damn class. So yeah, no, I'm not real satisfied with it.
That was my answer, Joe. That was my point.
Okay, all right.
Not happy yet with this year's class.
How about last year? We got 4 offensive linemen, all from Ohio. Josh Padilla, Austin Severo, Luke Montgomery from Findlay, Miles. I forgot. No, one guy's from Connecticut, Miles Walker.
Yeah, Miles Walker.
So 4 guys in this 23 class. All of them are 4 stars except for Miles Walker. He's a high 3-star, whatever. So I feel okay about that. I think we went from relatively recently, we went from stud 2 years ago to now Justin Fry. He's only on his 2nd recruiting class, you know. So since Fry's only on his 2nd class, you got to give him a little bit of leeway. I would say if you want to bang on somebody, I would bang on Larry Johnson. All due respect, I should have said that first, because then anything I say after that means I can say whatever I want, right?
Yeah. As long as you have the disclaimer. As long as you
all
have
due respect, Larry Johnson has not done shit in the last 2 years. What's that?
Interior D line depth. You're right, Joe. I mean, I think we have a couple studs on our hands right now, and we've always had a couple studs. Every couple years we've had a couple guys, but even last year when we're rotating, 7 guys, what are we really, how far are we dropping off from 1 to 7? Or is it like 1, 2, and then 5 through 7 are but they can fill time. They can get our guys a breather. And then this class coming up, we have 0 D line, if I remember correctly. And only a couple of defensive guys where we're disproportionate leaning offense. We do need to get back to getting some of the premier run stoppers and edge rushers in the country. So no, I'm not happy so far with our trenches going to both sides of the ball. I really liked Montgomery. I think he's going to be the gem of that offensive line class from last year. And those other Ohio guys, they just gave me that feeling of those Tutants and those Mikowskis, or those guys, LaRue's. Those guys are just
at least
they're going
they're
to be
4-star guys, though.
Right? Yeah, I mean they're 4 years. So yeah, don't just hang around for 3 years and then pop up as potential battling out for a starting job your senior year. Don't be that guy, because everybody that follows this program will disregard you and turn on you. And we're going to knock your fucking coach for not having more depth and more talent available. But Larry Johnson, we need some interior D linemen. Teams will still run the ball on us if we cannot stop the run. And we need them fucking hogs in the middle to prevent that.
Yeah.
So we still need them.
Like Stephen Cherry says in the chat, he was talking mostly about the 2024 class. He says Larry Johnson should have retired years ago. All due respect.
Hold on. That's not much respect at all.
You said all due respect, Shawn. Come on. You know the rules.
Well, I mean,
he laid out the disclaimer. It's fine.
It came in last, but at least it's in
have
there.
no respect.
I'm about at the end of my rope with Larry Johnson too, by the way.
I am too. And I'm not saying you're wrong. But I feel like it's getting a little stale, but the guy's like legend. So yeah, he should have started this exit when the rumors started a couple years ago. said, yeah, you know what? He's going to transition out. And done hey, I'm staying in here and getting paid $1 million and here's my new guy, which I think we're kind of doing now, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm with you, but I don't know about long ago. Not long ago. I mean, the motherfucker just had the Bosa's and Chase Young. That wasn't that long
just
ago.
had him.
That wasn't
Not-
recently.
Not just had him. I mean, Chase Young just got his 5th-year option denied by Washington. He's going to be a free agent already.
Chase
So
Young did not have a
that's-
5th-year fucking option.
no, the Washington declined it. He'll be a free agent after this year, his 4th year.
Chase
Young
Young
will
will
be on the
league
market.
for 5 years.
Bro, hey man, I'm just telling you what
He came out in 19, right?
What?
yes.
20. No, he came out in 20.
He played 19. He played 19 at Ohio State. Played 19 at Ohio State. Came out 20, 21, 22, 23 this year, 4th year, free agent next year. So that's he's the newest one. Nick Bosa's already gotten a second contract. Joey Bosa's already gotten a second contract. These guys, Joey Bosa's looking at 7, 8 years in the pros. It didn't just happen. That's my only point.
So I mean, we're
we
talking
had
3 years
we had
ago.
a run
I
of
mean,
guys for a while.
How much slack does he get? Like it has to happen every year. That you're still only talking 3 years ago.
I don't like
2020. He was drafted in 2020.
Yep. Right.
I mean, it's 2023. So it's not like it's fucking ancient history. And before that, he did go Bosa, which maybe wasn't him, but and Sam Hubbard and a host of other dudes. So
he did.
I mean,
He had a run. He had a run that was
year
dominant.
And oh my God, I didn't have a Chase Young. I better fucking retire. I mean, again, I think it's getting to be time, but there's a way out of it, and they'll probably do it wrong. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm just looking at these the scholarship board, and there's nobody between 2018 and 2021 that came in.
The only point is that I'm getting to is, yeah, he had a run through 14 or say 15 to 20. That 5 years, he had a great run. Draymond Jones just got a big contract in the league. Sam Hubbard got a big contract in the league. You know about the 3 we just talked about. But it's been a while. I mean, he's not bringing in the same type of depth, nor have we had those names called, on Thursday.
I mean, I don't know. I
think
think Tumalo is going to be a top 10 pick next year. Sawyer remains to be seen. I think behind him, Curry and some of these other guys are going to be good football players. I mean, I don't think it's as bad as what I was saying here. Like, oh my God, fucking. I mean, we still got some dudes. They're young. They haven't played much football. We don't know where it's going to go, but we still got some good dudes.
We do. I think it's clear though recruiting has fallen off between 2018 and 2020 on the defensive side.
Joe, you've gotten to the closest point that I was actually trying to make. I'm not sitting there, Shawn. I'm not trying to just bang against Larry Johnson and say he's fallen off. I'm just saying we can't keep bouncing back to these old names. It's been, you get the 7, 8 years.
Okay, but do you guys think it's fucking reasonable?
You can't keep throwing these names up. That's all I'm saying.
It's reasonable to get the best fucking couple D linemen every year in, year out. Do you think that's reasonable? And I know it'll happen from time to time, but is it sustainable? Can you do that over a decade? I don't think you can. I mean, Hartline's kind of proven it different with the receivers, but who else is doing something like that? Nobody. Unless you're, Bama does a pretty nice job. Georgia does a nice job. But again, it's damn near impossible. And I almost think that we're almost a little bit spoiled in that regard. But I guess if you're going to be the top of the top, those are the dudes you need.
Yeah. We're talking about having one guy drafted, one defensive player drafted in a year where you have 3 first-round picks.
Whose position
And-
group was it though?
Ryan Day's position group, Brian Hartline's position group, and Fry's position group.
I'm talking about the one defensive player that got drafted, Coach Johnson's.
Okay, but Shawn,
Is it because
All
of
right,
his development though?
No,
I mean,
that
this five-star kid, this top 10 kid in the country, top 10 D-line, top 10 player overall, maybe top 15 player overall, top 3 or 4 defensive linemen, 5-star blue chip, hang on and got drafted in the middle of the 3rd round. That can't be, and I'm not saying Larry Johnson's the only one responsible for this, but that can't be the only defensive player you have drafted in the NFL when you want to be an elite program of college football. You can't have one defensive end who was not by far not close to you being.
But not everybody can be
impact
a
players.
Bosa or a Young, and you got to go by the stuff that you've got. And he did have all the freak ability and all that, but you can't read the mind on that. And if this guy's and he's good enough, he just wasn't whatever.
Well, if you want to talk development, I don't want to go all night on the same topic because I'm about to get out of here. But if you want to talk development, what happened to Tyler Friday, Javante John Baptiste, Jerron Cage, Teron Vincent? That's just the more recent guys.
All high 4 stars. Teron
Jaden
Vincent was a
McKenzie's
5-star.
still on the roster, but still hasn't done anything. He's a 5th-year guy. Those guys aren't ending up to do anything. Javante John Baptiste at least transferred to Notre Dame. I mean, that's a D1 school, but guys like Cage, Vincent, they're nothing. Undrafted free agents, they'll end up on a practice squad somewhere.
Yeah, Vincent was a high 4-star. I saw him at 5 star in some places. Yeah, in some places.
Yeah, Vincent was a stud.
Yep.
But he was being rotated.
Injury for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, he was being rotated just like Cage and 5 other guys. Like that interior group was being cycled through all the time. So
I thought
he had a bunch of guys that turned out good.
Man.
He had a bunch of guys turned out good, but none of them surpassed each other. You know what I mean? He brought in depth. But depth, with this portal and the way things are in college football, depth can disappear out of your program in a year and a half.
Yeah.
We look at our running back room now, but like you said, Joe, this time next year, the running back room could be like, oh, maybe they could use a guy. Maybe they.
This time last year, actually middle of the season last year, that room was dried up. Oh my gosh! Like, all right, bring in the linebacker to train them. Let him run.
Say we lose Michael Hall in the first month of the season. At some point, we lose Michael Hall to a torn bicep out for the season. Mm-hmm. Well, fuck. Now you look at our interior D line without Hall in the rotation. Now you're gonna look like, I hope Tyleek stays healthy, but we need some guys to help him.
Yeah, you're losing 300 snaps on the year.
Yeah, so you're leaning on Jaden McKay.
Well, you have to change your whole you have to change your whole back end, like against running teams. Like you got to change it to the all right, we have to make up for that we don't have a tackle in there that can stop the run. We need bigger personnel. It changes the whole defense if you don't got a guy in there that can do that.
Well, I don't think you're going to do that. You just have to play younger guys that maybe aren't ready, like a Hero Canoe in his 2nd year, or a true freshman, Will Smith Jr., Caden McDonald. Yeah. So
and hopefully those guys are maybe a little more ready to step up as sophomores and juniors than the guys we've had in the past that are making rotation as seniors or 5th-year guys.
Right.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, let's get out of here, boys. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Thank you for joining us again. Please hit subscribe, hit the bell, all that stuff to get alerted every time we crank out a new show. This weekend was busy at the Buckeye Cast with 3 commitments, one a running back in the 24 class and the 2 transfer portal commitments. So hope you guys check out those videos, and hit me up in the comments. If you're listening on podcast, please subscribe, pass it to a friend. It's really hard to grow a podcast that's not on like YouTube or something like that. It's just podcast audio only. It's impossible to like gain followers and subscribers. So appreciate everybody watching, joining us in the chat and all that. Jeff and Shawn, appreciate you.
Yeah, man.
And we will see you next week. Go Bucks.
Deuces.